channel I talk about business, and in particular new business models. Today I thought to talk about family offices because it's a field I'm immersed in for many years, and I often give for granted that everyone knows what a family office is, but it is not often the case. So I will try to summarize in a few minutes what a family office is, but if you want to know more, I wrote a couple of articles about it that you will find on my LinkedIn page. The links are here below on the comments. So let's start with this. Definition. A family office could be defined as an entity, a legal entity, with the scope of preserving or growing the wealth of a family or of an individual. About the origins. It seems that in the late 19th century in Europe the first family offices appeared when there was the need to administer large lands, and the principals realized couldn't do that everything by themselves. So what they did, they delegated the job to someone trusted, some professionals that could do the job and leave them conducting their life through other things meanwhile, right? So what I find interesting is that in the last 15 to 10 years, due to different factors, but mainly due to the concentration of wealth in the hands of fewer families or fewer individuals, actually we have seen the exponential growth of family offices. In some jurisdictions, I heard that you actually are required a specific license in order to call yourself a family office. Can you imagine that? So this is about a little bit the origins of family offices and where do we stand right now. Fundamentally, what I like to do when approaching some certain topics, I like to give to it a why. So to the answer on why do you need a family office, well, this is a very good question. I will start from the concept of global families, because behind family offices there are often global families. And with global families, I mean families that tend to have assets of a different class, so different asset classes in different jurisdictions worldwide. And for different asset classes, I mean lands, real estate, equity, cryptocurrencies, fleet like yachts, private jets, art. And obviously with all of this comes what we call the burden of wealth. Now this burden obviously cannot be sustained by the family itself, but they need to surround themselves by professionals that, if coordinated together under a single umbrella, hence the single family office, well, actually all of this brings more efficiency and can better achieve the scope of preserving or growing the wealth of a family. So long story short, the why is efficiency. You want to have different type of professionals under a single umbrella to better coordinate your business. In terms of location, is very interesting because what often happens is that a family office is not necessarily where the family is. Professionals are often concentrated in financial centers like New York, Zurich, Paris, London, and the family maybe likes to live in the country of origin, or they decide to relocate in a country where the children can study. So family office is often dislocated from where the family actually live. In terms of staff, you can have different figures. Obviously, every single family office is very different. You can have family offices composed of 30, 50 employees and family offices composed of 3, 2 employees. But figures that are very important in a family offices are obviously the chief investment officer, the chief financial officer, the strategy officer, the chief of operations, the CEO, someone that takes the decisions and responsibility to execute some certain operations, and so on and so forth. In terms of services, you will find a more detailed list on my articles. Hence, I invite you to click the link to my LinkedIn page. But broadly speaking, the main services are obviously the investments, the strategy, the wealth planning, the legal, the tax, and then depending on the family office, maybe the family is very focused on philanthropy, and hence there is a specific attention to the philanthropy projects. So this is a service that the family office rendered to the family, right, or to the individual. In terms of asset under management, I'm often asked, okay, but how much is needed to have a family office? Well, I would reverse the question. I would say it needs to make sense, because a family office actually implies a lot of expenses. And you don't want it to incur in these expenses if it doesn't make sense, right? So it is estimated that the family office makes sense when there are at least 100 million of assets under management. This I read not too long ago in a report from McKinsey. But so to conclude, two macro categories, single family offices and multi-family offices. Do not be confused, but I think it's pretty easy to understand that single family office is normally this entity dedicated to the administration management of the wealth of a single family, versus multi-family offices where you gather professionals under a single entity to administer and manage the assets of a multiple number of families, right? So this is it in a nutshell. Hope you find it useful. Again, if you want to know more, I invite you to read my articles and hope to see you in the next video.